We are the developers at MTech Apps. We have been hearing from friends that they are so busy with their jobs, kids, and family activities. They sometimes need to check information online quickly, but can't because they have forgotten their passwords. We decided to develop a simple, easy application to replace the password notebook that people sometimes use for busy moms out there. We called our app My Org. This app categorizes the personal information under two menus. One is Account, which is for storing website account information, including login names and password hints. The other is PI, which is for storing any other information you would like. So now let's look at how to use this application. My Org is already loaded onto this iPhone. Click the icon to start the application, and the first screen lets you choose whether you want to set up a password for this application or not. I don't let others use my phone, and I don't need to set up a password. I feel like my cell phone password is good enough. However, if you do need another layer of protection, you can always set up a password for this application. Now we're in the main screen of the application. There are 3 buttons at the top. The one on the far right says Login. You can use that to create a login name if you haven't already. The 2 buttons on the left are Account and Personal Information, the 2 that I talked about earlier. Once you have created your own account, the Login button on the top will turn into a Log Out button that you will be able to use when you would like. Now let's take a look at how to use these 2 sections. First is Accounts. You'll notice here that we don't have any accounts, so we'll press the plus button to start a new one. Let's try adding the Apple Store as our first website. So in the website name, we will type Apple Store. Now we'll type the website link in. Make sure you don't forget the http:// at the beginning. Otherwise, it will start a Google search instead of typing in a website. Now we'll put in our login names. I'm going to use Melissa, and instead of putting my actual password, I will use a password hint just so I can recall which password I used. Just in case someone steals this phone and sees my password, they can't actually get it, they will only see the hint. In my case, I use special keywords to remind myself of my password. These may not make sense to you, but I know what passwords I'm talking about. There is also a note section for if you would like to put anything else. Now I will click Done and then Save to save my Apple Store under Accounts. Once you are done adding your first account, you can always press the plus button to add another one. Once you have your accounts set, you can always go back and edit or delete them. Here you can click on the Apple Store or the Amazon one to see your information, and then in this case we're going to try deleting Amazon. So you just go up to the X and you can click on it and it disappears. Now let's take a look at how to edit your previous accounts. So on the right you'll see all of your previous information, and say we want to change something. So you can go to the top bar and click the E and you'll be back to the editing page. For example, I'm going to take away the word store and just make the website name Apple. Now I'm about to click Save, but I realize the link is still to the Apple Store, so I can click Cancel to delete my changes. Also, you can go from your account page directly to the link. All you have to do is click on it. But don't forget, you had to have that HTTP there, otherwise it will not work. When you click the link, a new page will open up in Safari, and in this case we have made it to the Apple Store. So now I'll go back to my application. Now let's take a look again at the Apple page. There might be too much information here for you to see, so you can click the H button at the top and it will hide the top menu bar. And then you can click H again to get the top menu back. Now let's take a look at the personal information page. You can just click the PI at the top and here we are. However, right now we don't have anything, but if you want to add something, you can just click the plus on the top left. So now let's try to input some information. I'm going to use this to remember the places I have lived in the past. So under name, I will put residence address. In the information section, I'm going to put a date and then an address for the place I lived during that date. So here is the most recent one, and then I'll put in the next most recent and continue just like that. Now I'll just click done and then save, and there you go. Under personal information, the first thing listed is residence address. You can click on it to look at your information, and if you want to add another, you can just click the plus. This one is going to be for good books that I have read. Then you can click done and save again, and you'll have your second item. This page is similar to the accounts page because you can click the X to delete, just like before, and you can click the E to edit, again, just like before. In my residence address information, I accidentally made the L in alto capital, so I'm going to go back and change it to a lowercase. So now let's say I've changed my mind and I decide I want to protect my account more. I can go to the top right button and click on the login, and I can make my own username and password. The page will then guide you into selecting your username and password. You first click yes, and then you can type in the username and password that you would like. Once you click the setup button, you'll notice that something has changed. On the top right, it says log out instead of log in like it did before. But all of your information under accounts and under personal information is still there. After you log out, though, you can always log back in by putting in your username and password. This is one you will have to remember because you can't look inside your My Org to find it. Thank you guys for watching this tutorial, and I hope you learned how to use our app. If you have any other questions, feel free to go to our website, www.mtechappsweb.com, and send us an email. Bye-bye now.